production, and most of it related to Georgia's huge. Do you know how far Georgia's land ran after the Revolution? How far the borders were? It went way out west. Do you know how far? You're not bad. Okay. Does everyone heard of the Mississippi? You know the Mississippi River? I mean, that's way over there now, okay? Georgia originally claimed the land all the way over there, okay? And even though there were native peoples living there, okay? But the state government felt like, oh, this is such a huge territory, so it's easy for them to sell away, make illegal land deals. And so this scandal kept going on for several years until one man decided he's going to stop it, okay? I'll show you who that man is if you come with me this way.
We are currently at the Georgia State Capitol in USA. Yes.
Hopefully you hear me beyond my mind. Okay, you can come around. Yeah, come on this way. Yeah, that's good. All right. This man, James Jackson, all right? This is the man that said, I'm going to stop these illegal scandals in my home state of Georgia. He was a congressman. He was in the United States government, which was then up in Philadelphia, okay? You probably knew that Philadelphia was the capital before Washington, right? Now, I don't know if that's where this is, but James Jackson, you can see he's a strong person. You can see he was such an intense person that he would get into duels with people, okay? You don't mess around with him. And then some people say he's looking to the west. Actually, I think that way's the west. But he's looking towards Georgia's territories in the west because he knows that, well, maybe the Native American peoples can be removed, and he sees the expansion of people moving into those lands. Now, that would mean that the enslaved people would go as well because, you know, as farms and plantations were developing on very good soil, you know, that's what would happen. Okay, so the way what he did was he left his position in the United States government. He came back down to Georgia. He ran for the legislature in Georgia, means the House and Senate, okay? I don't know, I think maybe he was a senator. But he came back home to Georgia, ran for the state Senate. But when he came back, there was a new capital of Georgia. It was no longer meeting in Augusta. The state had gotten tired of people in Augusta and Savannah fighting over the state capital. And at the same time, the state was trying to acquire lands through treaties with the Muskogee Creek people. Now, most of these treaties were broken, of course, but anyway. So, Georgia's population started moving in a northwest direction. So, in this new area, they thought, well, people will come. And so they planned a new capital town. Do you know what that capital was after Savannah? Begins with an L. Yes, Louisville. The town of Louisville is still down there. I mean, no one knows what it is now. Actually, the little brick Capitol building is no longer there, and no one knows exactly what it looks like. It was 1790s, a long time ago, okay? Well, James Jackson decided he's going to stage a demonstration, all right? So he and about 10 other legislators in the Georgia government gather up all the papers and deeds and the Yazoo Act itself. The Yazoo Act was the act that was helping to release these lands of Georgia to speculators. So they gathered up all those documents outside in front of the Capitol on the lawn and dumped them into the ground, or just dumped them in a pile. And then when people started gathering around, James Jackson and those other, I guess, 10 men stood around them, and then James Jackson pulled out a magnifying glass. Well, first of all, he just held it down both sides, but he said something like, these land deeds, these illegal deeds that your government has been involved in are going to come to a stop. And your state government is going to put an end to this scandal. And so then he pulled the magnifying glass and he said, in fact, these documents are going to burn with fire from heaven. And then he holds the magnifying glass up and a beam comes down and it all starts burning. But it was too late. Georgia lost all of that land. The U.S. government had to get involved, federal government. He was really angry about the whole state government, was really angry that the federal government came down and got involved. And ever after that, there had been issues in Georgia history about the federal government and the state government, okay, kind of fighting and arguing, all right? Now, so he set the precedent too for like Indian removal, as they called it, and then the expansion of slavery too. But even though Georgia lost that territory, they had the attitude that Georgia was a huge, like an empire. Well, as the state was expanding northwest into that area we now know as Georgia, sure enough, they decided, well, we yet need to be another new capital town. So they thought Louisville, well, there are mosquitoes and there'll be malaria, so we can't have it. So they planned a new capital town. Do you know what that one was? It begins with an M.
Macon?
No, not a bad guess. It's Milledgeville. In fact, Milledgeville was laid out, modeled after the new United States capital, which was called Washington City. Okay, we now just know Washington, D.C. Milledgeville, well, it had a square for the capital, one for the governor's mansion. It's still down there. It looks very funny now because you see this building, it looks big. Milledgeville capital, see, they just counted back then it was the white European population that were citizens. So a small population, a small building, it's Gothic style.